Welcome back to Rapping Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, and we are on a very special early as fuck morning edition of Rapping Wrestling. And of course, we'll be reviewing night 2 of WrestleMania, waking up, of course, after that here on Monday. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't, of course, for the show. Let's get right into it, man, because it's early and I'm about to go get my tea in a minute. So, first match, of course, was Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. So I love the fact that this opened up this opened up night 2. This was a great opener to night 2 to start it off with a bang. All three women, of course, veterans in the ring. Chemistry there between all three of them. They all put on a great match, and I think all three women did amazing. There weren't any botches, at least that I caught, or anything like that in this match to show that this storyline is doing, or it did what I said it would do, which is kind of build toward a feud between Bianca and Rhea, and then also highlight the fact that Io Sky is an up-and-coming champion and she's going to be on the same level as Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair. So shout out to all three women in that match, and then congratulations to Io Sky, of course, for maintaining and retaining, her title, her Women's World Heavyweight Championship. So I want to see what's going to happen now between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. So maybe we get a summer feud going with those two. Backlash is coming up soon, so maybe they do something with that. But the next match, the following match after that, of course, was Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. And in this match, this was a hard-hitting brawl for the most part from beginning to end. You got two big guys going in there. Obviously, this has been going on since last year at WrestleMania for exactly a year, where Damian Priest cashed in on McIntyre. And this match was, like I said, it was hard-hitting from beginning to the end. Lots of table spots and things like that. Priest going through a couple of tables. I believe that McIntyre went through a table as well. One thing that I want to highlight about this match that I love, that Drew McIntyre is making a thing, and as I said last year, my MVP last year was Drew McIntyre because of the work he put in. But I want to talk about the fact that he stopped the match, and I think he went to his brother and got his phone and did a selfie, and then posted it right then at Mania and said, "Bored at work," with the selfie like this. So shout out to Drew. Like, if he ever watches this, or anyone at WWE ever watches this, you guys need to take that picture and make it merch. Like, why is that not merch yet with Drew bored at work? Like, that needs to be on shirts. Like, I don't know why y'all haven't done that yet. Like, come on, that's money you leaving on the table. So I love that part, of course, with Drew McIntyre going to do that. Great showing of fight from Damian Priest as well. He did great in the match also. I love how they're still bringing him up and keeping him in the upper card and putting him close to the title picture as well. And I love the finish. There was a great finish, of course. He put there was a chair lodged into the corner between the turnbuckle, and then bam, Claymore to the heads of the chair. Love that finish. I've never seen a Claymore done that way before, and so it was good to see them utilize different spots in different parts of the ring that haven't really been utilized in such a long time. So shout out to them on that match. Great match, fellas. Next thing I got is the Fatal 4-Way for the men. The men's Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, to me, this was low-key a night stealer. That was a great match, honestly. There was great chemistry between all four men, as I kind of been saying how it would be going into this match. So congrats to all four men for the show that they put on as well. Like I said, this was a low-key night stealer. All of them did great. There were good spots. There was good storytelling as well. Carlito came out and got involved and had a flashback and got speared through the table from Braun Breaker. So it was nice to see Carlito get involved in WrestleMania as well. Him being involved with the WWE for as long as he has. I think that he deserves a match, man. Like, he's been playing kind of the backstage funny guy for the comic relief for some time now. Like, let's give Carlito a feud in the match. Let's put him up against Penta. Let's see him in the match, man. Like, he can't just be walking around with an afro and apples no more. So it was good to see Carlito go through a table, which was nice. And also, what was interesting, and I kind of thought this would happen, and it was nice to see it happen, was the fact that the crowd flipped and they were chanting Dirty Dom. Now, if you were following the show, you saw that Dirty Dom was the one I was pulling for to win throughout this entire match, and that's exactly what happened. So Dirty Dom, congratulations to you. The finish, of course, was amazing. It looked like Dom was about to win. Finn came in and kind of stopped his momentum. He came in and did the coup de grace on a Braun, pinned him for the 1-2, or tried to go for the pin for the 1-2-3. Dom comes in, frog splash, opposite corner onto Finn. 1, 2, 3, new champion, Dirty Dom Mysterio. And he fucking deserves it, man. Like, he truly does deserve it. Like, look at all the work he's put in, him being as young as he's been. He's been in WWE literally since he was 8 years old. Him coming in, having the feud with his dad, drawing literally nuclear heat to the point to where he really could not speak without getting booed out the building. And then for him to come into Vegas and fans show love to him, to show like, hey, like, if for hardcore wrestling fans, at least that's what I feel what happened. The hardcore wrestling fans came in, was like, no, we see the work you putting in, Dom. We appreciate you being the character you've been, you know what I'm saying, and drawing us into you emotionally. Like, you emit in a reaction like every time you walk to the ring. So that's why I feel like Dirty Dom deserves it. As I predicted, he would win the championship. And of course, I think it made him an immediate face, like, because they're not even booing him anymore. But up next after that, of course, we had Randy Orton versus the mystery opponent, who, of course, as we now know, who turned out to be Joe Hendry. But what I didn't know is that this was Randy's 20th WrestleMania, and it's like, actually, this makes perfect sense. As long as I've been watching WrestleMania, I think his first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 21. I believe it was. And it was interesting to see, like, what I think, well, obviously, I think things kind of changed on the fly due to Kevin Owens, but it would have been dope to see them kind of give like a tribute to Randy's 20th WrestleMania or something on his entry. But of course, Randy had his 20th WrestleMania against none other than Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears, right? And to me, this was a complete wild card. Like, this was a complete wild card. I don't even, like, I wasn't expecting Joe Hendry. Like, I was not expecting Joe Hendry. I thought it would have been someone like a Rusev, or maybe like a returning superstar, or Nick Aldis, something like that. But for them to kind of like dig in that bag and be like, yo, let's get Joe Hendry up there, I think that was amazing. Like, it was dope. And then he got a crazy ass pop when he came out there too, just for him turning around, the tight zoom into the camera. Got an amazing pop for that too. So Joe Hendry, and I think Triple H even said in the post conference, like, hey, there's gonna be more of him coming to WrestleMania. But one time for Joe Hendry coming to WWE and being on WrestleMania, like, that's a great look, not only for Joe Hendry, but it's also a great look for TNA, because now TNA is kind of getting their champion. It's obviously Joe Hendry. Their champion is now on WrestleMania, right? And the cross promotion and opening that forbidden door, like, this shit would have never happened with VKM. And so, for the fact that we got Joe Hendry on there putting on for TNA, and he put on a nice little solid match against Randy Orton too. You know, he blocked the RKO and things like that, and it was nice. You know, it was good to see him be in WWE and get his look. So shout out to Joe Hendry, and thank you Randy Orton for putting on a great match and putting Joe Hendry over and allowing him to take in some of that crowd too. That was big for him to do that, and that's an OG move for Randy. Next, of course, we have AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Almost said CM Punk, which is my dream match. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Now, that was a solid match. A solid match is kind of what I expected it to be, of course, with these two and the talent that they have going into it. Logan Paul, of course, being the WWE a couple of short years and has been showing his ass, and by that I mean he's been killing it. You know what I'm saying? He's been putting on great matches. He's been great at WrestleMania. He hasn't really had any botches, and he's also safe in the ring from what I've seen. So shout out to Logan Paul on that. Now, Karrion Kross gets involved in the finish, of course, with these brass knuckles. One of Logan's friends or whatever, he gets, ringside. He's hiding behind the ring with the brass knuckles, trying to hand it to Logan Paul, who's standing there, none other than Karrion Kross. First of all, it was great to see Karrion Kross at WrestleMania. He's an underestimated talent. He really is. I follow him on Instagram and I see the promos and stuff he cuts. I'm like, why is this shit not on TV? But it was great to see Karrion Kross there, and I want to see what's going to happen now between Karrion and AJ going into the summer. Now, they had a match last week. Will AJ put him over at the end of his, or in this run of his career, this part of his career? We'll see. We will see. Up next, of course, we have the women's tag team match that took place. Of course, originally was supposed to be Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus the Judgment Day women, of course, of Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. Bayley was attacked yesterday prior to WrestleMania starting, which of course prompted them to have to find a new tag team partner for Lyra Valkyria, which of course turns out to be none other than Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, of course, returning after all the rumors of hearing that she was retired and she wasn't coming back and things like that. So it was good to see Big Time Bex right back in WrestleMania where she belongs, of course, and teaming with a talent like Lyra Valkyria, who's been fucking killing it the last like couple of weeks there on all shows, for real. So it was great to see them win. Congrats to both of them, of course. And getting the women's tag team championships in that. But of course, before I want to say congratulations to them, there were a couple little minor miscues there. A couple, and I think that comes from the ring rust and Becky not being, I won't say active, but her not being in the mix per se. And of course, I'm expecting that to happen, of course, when someone hasn't been back in the ring. Well, she's probably been training, but like back in that ring and with new women in the ring and things like that. It wasn't to the point where there were botches or things like that. It didn't make the match bad or anything. Just a couple miscues I noticed, just something to talk about. Nothing too crazy. But like I said, congratulations to Lyra and Becky on winning the women's tag team championship. It'll be interesting to see what happens with these two being champs going forward, and it'll be interesting to see who attack Bayley as well. Next match, of course, was our main event last night between none other than the GOAT now, John Cena, and Cody Rhodes. So this, contrary to what all of you may say or believe, I believe that this was the best John Cena entrance I've seen. And he's had some extravagant entrances over the last couple years. And here's what I mean. Obviously, it was very, very plain entrance. John Cena came out to his entrance with him in a black shirt with his, his graphic or whatever on it with his towel. There was no video package. Just it's just black screen, white letters, John Cena, in bold impact letters. And I think that's dope because it's like, oh, he's not even going to give us the video package. We can't even see that shit. Like, oh man. And then it's like, you see it in his face. He's just like, come on, let's go. Let's handle this shit. And then Cody comes out, of course, with the skull mask, with the Iron Man mask and shit. We got Cody Stark out here with the mask, of course. Him being a superhero and doing this thing. I loved his entrance as well. But I still think John Cena had the best one. But so they're having a match, of course. Great match between these two. The crowd's flipping back and forth. Some people who were physically there were saying that the crowd was chanting for Cena the entire time and Cody was getting booed. But from what I heard, just listening on the TV, it sounded like it was split down the middle, like it was between like Hulk and Rock for a minute. But then once I was listening to it and the match got going, I didn't really hear too many Cody Rhodes chants. I didn't hear Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. I didn't hear Let's Go Cody chants. I didn't hear none of that, which I thought was very interesting. I heard Let's Go Cena chants. I heard Cena sucks chants, all that, but I didn't really hear too many Cody chants. And then also John was displaying a new move set. Like, does he have a new move set now? Like, he didn't really do his 5 moves of doom the way he normally does. He slowed it down and made it methodical so people couldn't get into it. So shout out to John Cena for being a heel with that. And then of course in this finish, I was not a fan of the finish. I'm a fan of the outcome, but I am not a fan of the finish. Travis Scott getting involved, getting hit with the crossroads from Cody getting his receipt. That's cool. I understand all that stuff there. But it's like, what was the point of Travis Scott getting involved? Like, I mean, he didn't even perform there. I thought he would at least perform at WrestleMania, But anyway, Cena obviously wins his 17th championship, of course, breaking all records, beating Ric Flair, becoming the greatest of all time, and doing that. And then he mentioned in his post-show press conference, he said, "Tune in to Monday Night Raw to see me ruin wrestling." So it'll be interesting tonight to see what it is that they do for John Cena and what they have planned for him with ruining wrestling. And lastly, what I just want to quickly talk about, or actually I'll move into my next subject. So congrats to John Cena. We'll talk about this in the next one. So overall, I believe that WrestleMania was a great weekend. I believe it was pretty good overall. WrestleMania was dope. It was a good show both nights. I think they were solid enough and kind of lived up to the hype. Of course, there were a couple things that could have been better, but overall, I think WrestleMania was pretty good. Overall, out of 10 stars, I'll give it 7. A 7 out of 10 star show, which isn't bad. Just a couple pieces of room for improvement. And what I'm also going to start doing now with WrestleMania every year is I'm going to give a WrestleMania MVP. So this year, the WrestleMania MVP that I have for both nights the entire weekend, after looking at the entire weekend, my WrestleMania MVP this year is Roman Reigns. It's Roman Reigns because I believe he put on the best performance. I believe he had one of the greatest entrances. I believe that he had the greatest facial reactions. I believe that he probably elicited the most response from anyone in the crowd. And I also believe that he had the greatest match on the card as well, and he put on the greatest performance in that match. So I'm going to go for Roman Reigns as the MVP for WrestleMania this year. The best match I'm going to go for will be the triple threat between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. I say that because that match, to me, elicited the most emotion. It got the crowd involved the most, and it was ultimately a great match. There weren't any botches. The dynamic between all performers was great. The chemistry was there between all performers, and literally from start to end in the entire segment, and by segment I mean from entrance to the last person walking out, it was gold. It really was. Even CM Punk getting his moment at the end where the ring was cleared. So that's my best match for that. Worst match of the weekend, I'm going to say, is the tag team match between the New Day and the War Raiders. And that's not to say that these men can't wrestle and that they don't have any talent. It's just that I'm listening to the crowd. I'm listening to the emotion being elicited from it. Of course, they hear it there in the ring. But as a fan, I'm listening to it from home. And I'm like, all right, who's saying what? Who's doing what? Who's getting these reactions? I don't remember any moments from that match, as I mentioned in my video, or from night one as well. But again, that's not to say that these men aren't great performers and that these men aren't great wrestlers, and that doesn't mean that they suck or anything like that. It's just my personal opinion. You know, I'm a fan. I've been watching this for many years. I'm just giving y'all opinion, and if y'all watching this, that means y'all fans too. But the best WrestleMania moment now from the entire weekend, I will say, will be Paul Heyman turning heel and crossing and double crossing both CM Punk and Roman Reigns. To me, that's the best moment of the entire weekend because we didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. Oh, I kind of did, but not the way that it happened. So it'll be interesting now to see with Monday Night Raw tonight what happens with that storyline and what happens with all the storylines, because as you know, if you're a true wrestling fan, you know that Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania gonna be some shit, and I'll be right here with you to watch it, and we'll recap it tomorrow, and I'll drop another video and we'll talk about it. But until then, if you haven't, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And before I leave here, actually, they said that, hold on, they said the overall attendance for WrestleMania for both nights of the weekend was 124,593 solid cash per Stone Cold Steve Austin, who crashed his ATV. Now, I don't think it was that many people there because I saw empty seats. They said the second night was 63,226 and the first night was 61,000 and some change. I don't know if that was true, but I know one thing. I know that if you bring WrestleMania to Detroit, it'll be way better. So go ahead and let's get WrestleMania to Detroit. Of course, if you haven't, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe here on Rappin' Wrestling. And I'll see you soon. Oops. Peace.